What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the THINKSPACE podcast. This week we have something a little fun and different for you. We have had so many amazing, beautiful conversations in this last quarter of 2025, and I wanted to rewind it back to some of the most powerful little moments in these conversations that I really had to pause, rewind, listen to, write it down, and just reabsorb what was said, because sometimes we listen to things and we're just passing by in our lives and we're just, listening and we're just, yo, that's so dope. And then we move on, It's really beautiful to take those moments back and to be able to really double click on them and get deep with them and the knowledge that is being shared. So in today's episode and in next week's episode, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite little snippets from conversations that we've had in the last quarter. And I am so excited to hear what you guys think. I hope that you are enjoying your holidays and you are enjoying lots of time with your loved ones, your families, your friends. You're eating really good food. I am over here with a little bit of an injury, but I am doing well and I am excited for what's to come in 2026. So if you're ready, let's open up and get curious.
I'm a seeker, I'm not a believer. Do you know what I mean? And so I spend my life seeking, and I'll seek in the darkness, I'll seek in the ocean, I'll seek in the jungle, I'll seek anywhere I need to seek. I feel that sense of safety within myself, and so I don't need to adhere to the fear. One of my most powerful experiences that I do very, very frequently is, some people following my social media will know, is like, I'll find my way up a really high tree.
I know, I call you Coconut Man.
I found my way up a really high tree. Whether that's a coconut, whether that's a palm tree, coconut tree, or whether that's like a coniferous tree back here, and I'll go high, high, high. And I will, a lot of these trees, they need pruning, and I'll start pruning, and I'll be just on a little bit of mushrooms. And I'm very afraid of heights. So I get to go into this full body reaction of fear, fully somatic fear. Wind shaking the thing, you know what I mean? I got a blade in my hand, I got a chainsaw, and I just get to sit in that fear so much. And that was the same feeling that I felt when I left Canada in 2020, and that's the same feeling I feel all of the time. But I've brought a lot of pleasure to that feeling. That feeling, that shit turns me on. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a big key differentiator between people, is like, when you feel the fear, does it halt you? Does it stop you? Does it crush you? Like, even bringing it back to 2020 and how you're saying, like, a lot of that fear, it separated people, right? And so it's like, are you willing to feel it, explore it? What does that mean about me? Can I get through the other side? Am I going to die? No. You know what I mean?
It's a real thought, yeah.
It's a real thought, right? Because it's just like, it's all of your... it's your conditioned self that you have to come up against.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're there, you're expanding. It's character development time. I love that. That's actually something I started reading the Bible, and that's something I started learning through the Bible, is character development is so different than feeling like you need to go out there and see what can I try on versus who can I be. If I want X, what do I need to become to be X, to have X? So you figure out it's character development time. What are you developing for?
Fire segue. That shit was so smooth.
See why I took your job?
Suavemente. Ooh, I'm out the seat. They give me a 1-day contract. That's it. Sue's on salary. They give me a 1-day contract. Fuck. So I completely agree. Character development is absolutely critical. So I'm gonna give you the juicy juice. Super jugoso. So that happens 2020 to 2022. I'm with this girl. I'm feeling super good. All of my homies are around. Business is going good. I'm in the best shape of my life. The world is crumbling. I'm like, that sucks. Sorry for y'all. I'm chilling. I'm having the time of my life. It's May 2022. I'm with my girlfriend at the time. We're in Panama City. We start traveling a little bit. We could travel a little bit down there. We go to Panama City, super vibey city. Panama City is like the Miami of Central America. Like, it's big money. like flashy, like it's exuberance, right?
Yeah.
We go out, I get a nice spot, we're going to nice restaurants. That's the first time I go out of like the jungle in Nicaragua, really, and I start getting female attention for the first time in my life. My girlfriend at the time, she notices it and she starts playing with it. She's not like fearful with it, she starts playing with it. And so I'm at like, there's some financial abundance, there's some geographical abundance, we have great food, we're in a great spot, and like everything about that vibe was a luxury that I could accept, was a blessing that I could accept. She goes, my girlfriend at the time goes, hey, I just want you to know that everything that's coming for you, like in this city, in this experience, and how we're traveling, whether that's locations or whether that's other women or whether that's like whatever, like I'm here to go through this whole experience with you. Like let's do this whole thing in such a way that like really hit me to my core and was like, wow, I have a partner in this. Do you know what I mean? And like she had great taste in food and this, that, the other. And I was like, wow, this is all available to me. It's available to me. And I did it my way. And I believe in myself and I'm proud of the person that I am. And oh my gosh, I can't believe all of this is available to me. She looks me in my eyes and goes, Joss, you're such a good man. And I appreciate you so much. And my world falls apart. I break in that moment. In that moment, everything that was just a second ago feeling so sweet and so expansive and so available to me cracked. The scene broke. We went out. We would go to these restaurants and go to these experiences, music, art, whatever, and I would just feel so empty.
Why?
I would get attention from her or from another woman, and it would be like a knife stabbing me. I would go, oh my gosh, like I can't deal with this. This is a visceral physical reaction. Like I don't want this, like this is not good. And I communicated that to her. I then I finished a big certification that I needed to take my business to the next level. It took me many years to get. We went back home to Canada and I'm just off. I'm a robot. I don't exist. Like I have no emotion. I'm completely empty. I have no idea what's going on. I cannot put my finger on it. I'm like, I've arrived. Why can I not feel anything? In those moments, I'm communicating this to her the whole time. I'm communicating this to my friends and my family. I'm going, I don't really know what's going on with me. I should be in this like Navy SEAL type vibe. I should be in this like look at me, I've trained so much, I'm here in every way that I've ever wanted to be here. I'm here. I came back and I have a conversation with Steve Rio, friend of the pod, and I tell him the whole thing. You know, Steve's become a big mentor to me over the years, and we end up going back, and he brings me to Bowen, and you know, brings me through a psychedelic experience with his company and with his retreat and with his community out there that was really, really profound. After that happened, and that's a whole podcast in and of itself, very beautiful. I write about it a bunch. After that happened, I got to a spot where I realized there was a couple really fundamental holes in my spiritual being. What happened that night when she said, "You're such a good man," that broke because there was such a lack of connectedness or worthiness or humility to anything that had manifested itself in my physical reality. So I went, okay, I have to build.
Can you break that down more for somebody who cannot pick up what you just put down? The connectedness, right? So there is the external experience and then there's the internal experience of worthiness. Let's just go there a little bit. Everything
in this physical 3D realm you are relating to. You have a choice in terms of how you're relating to. One of the best episode podcasts that we ever did was one with a gentleman named David Katz. And, you know, he really went through and said, he really redefined what meaning was for me. That podcast changed my life. Please go check it out. Everything that we go through, everything that we come into contact with, we get to have a actual choice in terms of how are we going to relate to this? What story am I going to tell? What meaning am I going to make? I got to a point where all the meaning that I had made in my life broke. And I didn't believe it anymore. And my soul had moved on, but my brain couldn't figure that out. And
it popped.
Popped. Yeah. The bubble popped. Back to your character development question. I realized I needed to develop a couple things in my character. Number one, my ability to connect to myself, my physical environment, and the people around me. I'm an extrovert. I love to talk. Throw me in a mix. Connecting is different. Feeling someone is different. I wanted to feel the texture of people and actually connect with them.
So I'm going to pause you there. Feeling the texture of people and actually, because I think people up until that point would think that you are a connector. You're a super connector, right? So what's the difference between feeling the texture of somebody and then just being there?
I'm by my nature and by my trauma, I'm a connector because I'm finding safety. So I go, I need to connect and find safety, find safety, make someone feel okay, make them laugh, make them giggle, make them feel attracted, whatever it is, to find safety. I want people to, when they go and connect with people, to sit in the boredom, to sit in the safety of sitting with another human, listening to another human, understanding the heartbeat of another human, and go, what is here? We talk about, in so many of these episodes over the years, we talk about meditation. And then you can take this to, well, yeah, there's sitting meditation, there's walking meditation, there's eating meditation, there's also talking meditation. And a great podcast is a talking meditation. I lacked the ability to open my heart to anyone. And to actually, in the direct correlation to meditations is my ability to, when you're meditating, focus into the breath. And actually, can you focus on your breath for 10 seconds? Can you open your heart for 10 seconds? So in everything that I was doing, one person I was manipulating the other person, whoever it was, friend, romantic, whatever, manipulating them to open their heart and pour. And I would give the illusion that I was receiving that, but my internal experience that nothing was received. And so to me, there's a different texture in terms of, are we conversating, are we connecting, or is someone giving and another receiving, and someone giving and another receiving? And this is an art, this is a language. We know this through physical movement, we know this through the language of pressure, we know this through the language of eroticism, we know this through so many things. How can I receive and give whenever I'm relating to my physical environment or other humans in my environment? I didn't have the ability to connect whatsoever. I was just being an extrovert, just connecting with everybody because I wanted to feel safe. So let me make sure everyone else feels good, and that gives me a better chance at safety. But in terms of connection, and then the world would come back to me and say, oh my gosh, Joss, we're so connected with you. I go, y'all feel connected. That's cool. Me,
but I'm not connected.
I'm alone
to you.
as hell. I'm alone as hell. I'm in my world.
And was there a space in time where that gave you solace, where that was like, okay, that works for me? And then it almost sounds like you're in this position where this person's deeply connecting with you. They're telling you that they see you. And you're like,
I go, me? Who's me? I don't exist.
Yeah.
You're talking to a ghost. And then I became the ghost. And that's a really scary position. One of my biggest fears is becoming a resentful, reclusive old man.
When I originally was like, yo, you got to come on the podcast, it has been about transition. And you're somebody who I know has transitioned a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Even in the ways that you're saying, like, okay, when I knew this was right, when I knew that was right. So what is your approach to transition and to transforming through transition?
Such a good question. Transitions for me reflect thresholds. And there's always a sense of like newness, and like a temporality. I know enough now, and I trust enough now that any transition, small, large, or medium, is just ushering me into something new. And it usually requires the ending of something, which is incredibly painful, and there's a grieving process. But transitions always remind me that like there's like something's about to shift. And it now I have a ritual around it. Actually, I feel like it's quite ritualistic for me now.
Yeah, in there you said something new and something's got to shift. You didn't say something is better on the way.
Yeah.
So I'm very, I would love if you double click on that.
Yeah.
Like, what about it is neutral and how do you stay neutral about it?
Well, I think like my spiritual practice tells me that literally everything is temporary and everything changes all the time. It's only our attachment to the thing that makes something better or worse, right? Life is a series of transitions. We age, we grow, we die, we form relationships, we let go of relationships. We're in one space over another. Like that's just what happens, right? I feel like I used to be the kind of person that used to be like, why is this happening? Why am I changing? All these kinds of things. But then I started to learn about liminal spaces and like how there's always like an in-between when the old world is crumbling and the new world is being formed. And those things actually happen simultaneously. When I started to see transitions like that, as opposed to black and white, where like this thing is ending, life sucks, I don't know what's going to happen next. And I started to approach it with a lot of like faith.
Sorry, honey.
It's okay.
I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb.
When I started to approach it with like a lot of faith and trust, right? My relationship with transitions just changed. I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it does. The faith and trust. You know, something else I was thinking about when you were talking is I feel like there's so much that you and I have in common with our journeys. And you can ask anybody who's been my friend for a long time. I was always like a lost and found girl. Like I was always like feeling lost. Like, why are we here? We're aliens. Like it was really hard for me to ground myself on the earth. I think I've told you this before. Like I would have days where I would meditate for 3 hours and I would find it so hard to live here, to be here, to participate here, which is funny because as a young person, I was very like, rah, I love life, right? But I bring it back because the feeling that took me from lost to found was my faith.
Right.
It was trust. It was the belief that like if I'm here, there's purpose. Right. And I feel like there's nothing in life that has grounded me more than that. It's not subscribing to a specific religion. No. It's just I am of worth. If God made all of this and I am a tear of God, then I am worthy because I am of, it's like you take a piece of toilet paper off of the roll of toilet paper, it's still toilet paper, right? Like no one can mess with that. And then if I am here, there's a reason, right? So I'm very like, I'm not surprised at all that is what helps ground you. Yeah.
And as you're saying all of that, there's like a recent life experience of mine that's like really alive and active for me right now that you're actually a part of. So I did coaching sessions with you and it was to arrive at a decision, essentially. I shared with you that I was feeling a little bit of resistance in my friendships. And, I shared with you that I didn't want to like go on this trip. And so I made the decision after like working with you, after being coached to arrive at the decision that I wasn't going to go on this big trip with friends that I had had for 15 years. This group of friends was so intrinsic to my life. We did so much together. I saw the rest of my life with them. I was really attached to this like cohort of people. And then what like the meaning that I gave myself, right? So I made this decision shortly after a friendship broke up, right? Like one of the friendships it dissolved. It wasn't aligned anymore. I still kept holding on to some of the other friendships in the group. And, it kind of went fine for a little while. And then eventually those friendships also started to falter. They started to become more and more disconnected. And in all of this, what I was really ignoring the entire time was that I had known for a very long time that these friendships needed to end. But I was holding on because the moving from where I was to where it would have taken me was far too scary, right? Like I didn't want to transition out of it. I didn't want to change. I was really resistant to change. I was also quite certain that the uncertainty that would come from breaking these relationships would be something I probably can't handle. But I was forced into it. I had a big tower moment. I love to quote the tower card in tarot. I had a big tower moment. Eventually those friendships like like currently as we stand, not active at all.
Mhm.
Completely gone, totally dissolved, 15 years of friendship, completely like clean cut, done, right? I had so much pain around it. So much. I woke up in the middle of the night once sobbing, like wailing out loud. I've never
It's
had that
so
before.
painful to lose a long-term
So
friendship.
painful. I was literally like, I've had nights where I've like cried a little bit, but I like woke up, I was like full on sobbing, like I was awake. I just kept saying like, why would this happen to me? Like, why did you guys do this to me? You know, I felt really abandoned. I felt really cut out. It was so much pain. But I started to grieve it, and I was like, okay, like this has happened. It's done. And then, you know, I sort of just went with the flow with it, kept going. I was in Calgary. I keep citing this Calgary trip because it was very transformative.
Mm.
There was a moment when I was meditating one of the mornings, and I just started to cry again because I was like, oh, I get it. I get why that happened, because where I am right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I couldn't have gotten here without all of that. Like all of that needed to crumble. At that time, the next chapter, the next phase, this you know, newness was like nowhere to be found. I couldn't see it. I was like, I'm lonely. I've lost all my friends. I'm not deserving. I'm not worthy. I did something wrong. There's something inherently wrong with me. But I didn't even realize that that ending was actually just a beginning.
Yeah.
And that like, there was like this like beautiful unfolding into the next chapter. And I'm not going to say that where I am right now is better. I'm not going to say that. It's just more aligned.
What has your journey been like with mentorship?
I think coming up, very few mentors and no one really has shown me the way.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I did have that, I don't know if I would have listened. Again, thinking that, you know, maybe you know it, I'll figure it out, or things go right. You might do three things right. And you're like, I can't do wrong, right? So I think, I don't know if I listened before, but as I get older now, I definitely seek out more mentorship, more coaching, more advice.
And
I think,
why is that?
because everyone has different experiences of different value. And some things, it's like your parents sometimes, or whoever, you know, an adult figure would be in your life who gives you advice and you don't understand them. And you're like, you know, what are they talking about? They don't know. Years later, you might look back and be like, I understand it now, because you have perspective, you have wisdom, you have age, right? So I think now I understand that I've seen too many 360 moments where I'm like, oh, that was what they were trying to say, or I should have listened to that. That now you know that people who you can generally scope out, you know, people who are worth listening to, and if they have advice to give or conversations to give, I'll learn the best through conversation. Not really like, here's an instructional manual. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's just talk it out. Let me hear some perspectives. Let me see how you've handled, you know, situations in your life to get to a certain place and be like, oh, there's a lot of value there. And you've done some of that experience. And I like to try to do the other thing, right? Like, I fucked up a ton, right? I can tell people about that. I can talk about decision making and, you know, different things, and hopefully do the same to others. And some it's going to fall on sometimes on deaf ears, and sometimes it's going to be of value to someone, right? I think I think there's so much good advice now. There's so much advice out there. So
it's almost like you have to sift through it, right?
You have to audit, right?
You have to audit it, because like what you're saying is like, oh, learning through stories and conversations. It also requires people to be vulnerable with their mishaps, right? And like with what is working in order. And I think stories, like facts tell, stories sell. And I believe that with my whole heart, right?
Yep.
Like there's things that we're going to remember because we remember the story of it more than we understand or remember the wisdom of it, right? And so like in that, you're saying like, oh, sometimes it falls on deaf ears. Like, is there any wisdom that you received that once fell on deaf ears that you now are like, oh, like that was such juicy wisdom?
Yeah, not like a direct, well, yeah, there's tons for sure. Some I'm not going to share. But it's some general, you know, I've connected with my dad, you know, the last few years, been able to connect on a deeper level through brick and mortar and retail talk. My dad's owned a business. My dad owned a storefront for 20 plus years. My grandpa owned a storefront for 30 years on Main Street. So both in Vancouver, right? There's a lot of things my dad told me with, running a brick and mortar business and things here with, just whatever, right? And some of it I was like, but this is now, this is different now. This is how we're doing things now. Some of it, my intuition was right and things worked out great. Some of it, I was like, if I would have listened, I could have saved a hard lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you have to audit and sometimes you got to go with your gut, but
what's the value of the hard lesson?
I mean, hard lessons are good lessons. We know this. It's just as long as that hard lesson doesn't make you give up. Every time, like you're going to clock a lot of hard lessons. Sometimes they come in, they come boom, boom, boom. Sometimes they come spaced out over a long period of time. Sometimes I think there's going to be a bunch of micro ones and sometimes there's going to be some heavy hits, right? Hard lessons are good lessons though. Like facts, you're going to learn through experience. You're going to, and the harder ones, if you're able to get through them or when you're able to get through them, you build resilience. So I think that's the commonality between any kind of mentorship or advice I've been given through people who've gone through the ringer and who've done amazing things and big things. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of things that you went through that I had no clue. Mm-hmm. I thought it was, oh man, you own X amount of things, like you're killing it, like, right? That's very like immature mindset, but that's how I thought before. Mm-hmm. Not understanding that there's so many layers and, to those things. So, something
that you said, something you said? Yeah, something that you said in there is like how fast you get back up. And like Barbara Cochran, I think that's how you say her last name, but Barbara the Shark, she always talks about, she's like, I don't invest in businesses, I invest in entrepreneurs and I invest in them based on how fast they get back up. Like, and in coaching, I call that people's bounce back rate, right? So it's like maybe before a trigger happens and then the trigger takes you out for a year, right? So then how do we shorten the bounce back rate that gets you back on the road and going again?
For sure. I think there's like, anyone will tell you, right? There's people who have like, oh, this is tough. And then they reach something that is really tough and they're like, oh, that was like not so tough looking back on it, right? But you need to go through those cycles, right? There's tons of things that I've gone through that I think a long time ago when I went through things that were like really tough, have made these times easier. But I know these things are some things that would cripple someone else, for lack of a better words. And hopefully that person would get up and keep moving. And then they'll come to a stage when that wasn't so bad either, right? It's just stages.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to like what I was like when we were talking about personal responsibility, because it's like all that experience has to give you the tenacity that allows you to even like understand and know and recognize like what that responsibility looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. And like the truth of it is like, we're all going to go through shit. We're all going to go through different things at different times. Some of them are going to be super heavy things. You can't really train for all of them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you might go through the toughest time of your life in business while someone's going through the toughest time of their life in business when someone they love is sick. And then, or when they don't have this or they don't have that. And the most amazing stories are the people who've gone through some crazy things and have made it through, and they're there to tell the story. And they're also there to prove that, tough times don't last, but tough people do,
Well, you always say that, right? So it's like, why are you so inspired by that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just like try, like, I'll tell you, I love listening to podcasts or interviews with like, I'm really into MMA, UFC fighters, right? Fighters. I love like the parallel of that where like you might get knocked down, you might even lose a fight, but then you're back in the good ones are back in the gym in the next day training, going through another whole camp to fight again, sometimes losing again. It's crazy. Sometimes your career may not be a bunch of W's, right? But that's
like that one guy that you really love from the UFC.
There's a ton. There's like some, people who have been through the journey who are like fans, like a Dustin Poirier fans are going to come watch you because they love you and they know you're a fighter. Not because you have been multiple time champions. It's not because of you've been, you have a mix between wins and losses.
They just fuck with your spirit.
Your spirit, yeah.
Yeah. What has opened up for you through taking bets on yourself?
You know, I've learned that I can handle a lot more than what I thought I could handle. It's really cool to see now the things that would have stressed me 8 years ago, or 12 years ago when I first started my first business. Those things would not stress me now in the same way, to the same degree, and I would understand how to handle it. One of my mentors, again, it's one of these notes. He wrote that as you get better with these things, in this particular example, he was talking about public speaking, but I kind of apply it to a lot of other things. You're always going to have butterflies in your stomach. As you do it more and more, you just understand the pattern that they fly in.
That's so beautiful.
That was an unlock. It was a game changer for me when I first heard it.
Yeah.
I know the pattern of starting a clinic. I know the pattern the butterfly is going to fly in with hiring therapists, with growing their skills, with managing conversations and dealing with, sticky situations. It's like those kind of things I have a familiarity with, and now I just understand that they're going to fly in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's made me feel so much more confident in myself. And then also understand that I have so much more to learn. I'm not even scratching the surface yet.
Yeah, which is so cool, right? Because it just feels like there's still so much to live and experience in life. But I love how you said that, because that is so true, that like you learn the patterns of it, so then you can also learn the patterns of yourself. And how do I want to approach this now? How have I done this in the past? What worked for me? What doesn't?
What's really funny is that when I joined Mayo, I was deathly afraid of flying.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even look at a plane in the sky. And it all happened because it was like an emergency landing that we had to do, like on like a family trip or like a guy's trip, San Diego. So I was kind of shook. And it's funny because the job required me to travel all over the US and Canada.
Yeah.
So I was flying like a ton.
Yeah.
And it took about 100 flights, but then I finally understood, okay, this is the pattern. This is how these butterflies are going to go. And now I would almost say that I enjoy flying.
Yeah, you could set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
I love that. That makes me think like I would public speak, or I would go on camera and we would do all these shows and I would black out afterwards.
Yes.
It would be so much sensation in my body. And then I'm like, okay, there's a lot of sensation in my body on these days. Don't have so much espresso. I used to drink 6 espressos a day. Like, what the heck was I doing? And it's just like little things, like electrolytes on that day, like manage how many conversations you're having. Don't talk to too many people beforehand. Like, there's so many things that you can do than to like service yourself. Yeah. But I think overcoming flight anxiety is a big one, because it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to describe it because I don't want to make you in that space, but it's a hard one.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I had to take all the I had the whole cocktail of everything that you would take. And then I remember somebody saying to me like, yo, Drew, like that's like how like these celebrities just like die. And I'm like, okay,
I'm gonna stop this.
I'm going to try to raw dog these now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to dive a little bit deeper with the family over here at ThinkSpace and Self Hired, connect with me on social at I am Summan Kandola. That's IAMSUMMANKANDOLA on Instagram, as well as Self Hired on Instagram. Send this to a friend. You have no idea how much it helps the show grow, and it's honestly one of the best ways to get deep with somebody that you know and love. Hit us with a subscribe on YouTube for the visual experience, and be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to now. It helps the show grow significantly. As well as, if you have some thoughts, leave us a review and take the conversation to the next level by DMing me. I love hearing your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys. I love you, and I'll see you next time.